Izuku Midoriya, protagonist of My Hero Academia, was born quirkless, much like his idol All Might. However, after a fateful meeting with the #1 hero, he became the successor of One for All. Deku, even in his wildest dreams, would have never thought that he would wield not one, not two, but 7 quirks. Most characters in the series typically have a single quirk, so seeing somebody with several abilities is a rare sight. The basic essence of all these powers is that they all come from the previous One for All users, with their abilities becoming stronger throughout the generations. Ever since it was revealed that Midoriya one day would be able to control all these quirks, fans have eagerly anticipated the new abilities this series' previously quirkless hero would one day wield. The journey to unlocking each quirk involved several specialized training regimens. But before going all out on these quirks, spoiler warning, we have taken a few of these quirks from the manga which are yet to be shown in the series. So here are all of Deku's quirks, explained and ranked from the weakest to the strongest. Number 7, Smokescreen. Ein, the 6th user of One for All, as well as the character who created the Smokescreen quirk that Deku later inherits. Smokescreen allows its user to send forth a thick cloud of smoke from their body. Depending on the intensity, the smoke can cover a substantially large area. Deku first awakened Smokescreen shortly after the Paranormal Liberation War. He's able to unleash a big cloud of smoke, but it backfires by also concealing Deku's own vision. Later, he's able to use Smokescreen to cover the streets and lure Muscular towards him. When he chooses to, he can instantly hide himself in a cloud of smoke similar to a ninja smoke bomb. Likely the weakest of Deku's quirks, an advantage of this technique is that, unlike regular smoke, it does not irritate the eyes. However, if an immense amount of smoke is released, the user's vision might get impaired, rendering them unable to fight. On their own, it's not a very impressive quirk and is primarily helpful in evacuating situations. It neither possesses offensive power nor can it be scaled to an ultimate move level. Number 6, Black Whip. Black Whip's original user, Daigoro, the 5th user of One for All, the user can produce energy tendrils from any part of their body and command them at will. Daigoro used it for mid-air maneuverability as well as grappling enemies. By the time Deku uses it, the quirks evolve drastically in power and scope because of One for All. Given the name, these tendrils are black with a glowing light teal outline. As seen in the manga and anime, Black Whip is powered by emotions, mainly anger. This implies that the quirk powers up with the user's anger. Black Whip can explode out of Deku when he becomes enraged and causes him great pain. Even when he's able to use a less powerful version, it leaves him with a numbing pain. As long as he doesn't go above 5% of his power and remains calm, he can use Black Whip for the same reasons as Daigoro without incurring immense drawbacks. Black Whip is the first new quirk that Deku and we got introduced to. The ability to capture people or use Black Whip for mobility makes it incredibly versatile. They're strong enough to support Deku's full weight when he chooses to either swing from buildings or catapult himself with the tension the tendrils create when stretched. All the mobility advantages they give Deku can be applied to combat, along with the unexpected ability to grab and restrain opponents from impossible distances. The drawback, however, is that they can run wild if the user does not have control over themselves. When Deku activated it for the first time, Black Whip lashed out uncontrollably until he could compose himself. Number 5, Danger Sense. Danger Sense also belongs to the arsenal of Izuku Midoriya's quirks. Danger Sense is a quirk originally used by Hikage, the 4th holder of One for All. Deku was able to awaken it during the Paranormal Liberation War, but he didn't realize what it was at first, and the new signals being sent through his brain nearly overwhelmed him. He has to fight to simply stay conscious and standing, but with time he learns to control the ability. While Deku is hunting down the League of Villains, he's able to use his Danger Sense to sense where villains are and track them down. He can also use Danger Sense to dodge attacks, but depending on the speed of his opponents, this isn't always helpful. Depending on the threat level, it takes a toll on the user's body. Deku describes it as a sharp stabbing sensation in his head. The quirk is also weaker against an opponent who can attack swiftly. It does not get triggered unless there is an actual danger. For instance, Toge Himiko, despite being a threat, could go undetected when she attacked Deku out of affection. The quirk responds to only negative emotions and hostile intent directed towards Deku. This means the quirk is not as reliable when dealing with non-human threats. Number 4, Float. It's Nana Shimura's quirk, the 7th user of One for All, and is later inherited by Deku. It doesn't have any combative capabilities, but it's incredibly helpful for evading enemy attacks. Deku first awakens Float during the war on the Paranormal Liberation Front. He's able to dodge Tomura's attacks while simultaneously using Black Whip to pull his allies to safety. He later uses it to remain suspended in the sky while he fights Muscular, making it incredibly easy for him to dodge attacks. Float helps the user to levitate. When enhanced with One for All, the quirk powers up exponentially and allows the user to fly at high speeds. Deku uses this ability to move around the city quickly. It's simplistic, but also valuable for any combat where the user needs to be in the air air for a long period of time. Similarly, the user can fly thanks to One For All's accumulating effect. Float quickly becomes Deku's preferred method of movement, and for good reason. Float allows him for far better mobility. After years of blending with One For All's great power, the float Deku currently uses is far stronger than what Nana Shimura was using. It is even faster now, and when combined with other quirks, it allows Deku to imitate All Might's top speed for a moment. Number 3, Transmission, Chapter 368. The quirk of One For All's second user, the quirk Transmission, affects the target's speed, thus making the user appear faster. The manga shows Deku releasing accumulated energy, which gives him a serious speed boost. It allows Deku to modify the speed of any objects he touches. Like many other touched-activated quirks, Deku can use Transmission on himself, turning himself into a respectably speedy hero to little more than a green blur. This quirk increases Deku's speed in 3 stages, but it's far more dangerous when he decides to use it offensively. After activating the quirk on himself, Deku can increasingly slow his opponents down with every punch he lands. He can push himself past 45% of One For All to eclipse even All Might's top speeds. It essentially allows him to control the speed of various objects through different 4 gears of speed. As mentioned earlier, due to the previous usage, Transmission is stronger than when the second user possessed it. It is described as a last resort type of power that Deku can't randomly use whenever he wants. While there is a 5-minute time limit hooked to this power, the full extent of its capabilities haven't fully been revealed. One of the moves associated with this power is known as Overdrive, which is what happens when Deku uses Transmission on himself. He becomes fast enough to break through the sound barrier. Number 2, One For All. One For All is the first quirk that Deku gains access to. He was chosen to inherit it as All Might's successor. In the beginning, Deku always broke his body when he used his power, and it spiraled to the point where Recovery Girl refused to heal any more of his injuries. This leads to Deku apprenticing under Gran Torino, where he learns to use a very small percentage of his power without any recourse to his body. Deku has honed this skill over time, being shown to use up to 20% of his full power for short bursts without any physical consequence. Originally used by Yoichi Shikigari, the first user of One For All, then later by his successors. One For All current user is Izuku Midoriya, an extremely powerful quirk. It accumulates an incredible amount of raw power. This allows the user to substantially enhance their physical capabilities to a superhuman level. The user can also control how much power they wish to release at once, and they can focus the power on any part of their body and spread it evenly throughout. One For All can also boost the existing user's quirk. However, concentrating too much power on a single part can cause grave injury. Additionally, upon inheriting it, the user must train their body physically to be able to withstand its output. It is undoubtedly a powerful quirk to possess. One For All is an ability that allows the user to accumulate power and transfer it to somebody else. The main benefit of this power is that it makes all the user's other quirks much more stronger over several generations. Another aspect of this power is that it allows Deku to interact with the past users of One For All. Naturally, it would make sense to discuss what's known about their quirks that have been strengthened over the years. Number 1, Fajin, Chapter 313. Probably the most powerful quirk Deku has shown. Fajin comes from the third user of One For All. Fajin allows the user to stack up on kinetic energy by repeated regular motions. This energy then gets stacked up and the user gains an explosive burst of power upon release. However, the user can only release specific amounts of energy at a time. This allows for multiple bursts of power during combat. When combined with 45% of One For All's power, Deku was able to use Fajin to replicate a 100% power smash without all the normal physical drawbacks. He was first shown to use this against Lady Nagant, where he uses it to increase his speed to rescue Kai Chisaki, and then finishes by using Fajin to execute a faux 100% smash to defeat his opponent. Fajin is an interesting ability that involves the user doing the same motion over and over again to accumulate kinetic energy. The user then has the option to release all that energy either in short bursts or all at once. Deku uses it alongside Black Whip to create powerful attacks without taking any harm on his body, which is associated with One For All. This ability is somewhat similar to Bakugo's ability to store up his own sweat, later using it to make his explosions more powerful. It was the first quirk that suggested he was able to surpass All Might in strength, even at the iconic hero's peak. So that was the list. Some of the quirks, like Smokescreen and Danger Sense, are a bit weaker by themselves. They possess no offensive capabilities. However, when the quirks are combined, they make Deku a force to be reckoned with. Hope you liked the list, and if you did, then let us know by liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. And if you want us to cover any other topic, let us know in the comments. Until then, that's all, folks.